Next session of the day, the topic being OTT, a paradiso or a disruptor for the cinema industry. This is a topic that's ongoing for quite some time now as to how cinema is probably affected by the growth and the expansion of OTT. Sessioning this chair is going to be popular show host, content creator and entertainment journalist, the very beautiful Namita Sachdeva. And in the panel to discuss about the same, we are very, very pleased to have with us Harshita Shekhar Gaur, actor, Karan Anshuman, filmmaker, and Mukul Chadda, actor. Can we please have the panel on stage? Welcoming you. A round of applause for them, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi, Mukul. Hi, Harshita. Hi, Karan. Karan is...
Hello.
He's coming? Okay. Hi.
Karan has disappeared on us.
The invisible Karan. Well, it's good you are here. Okay, well, in the meantime, he joins us. I would take your initial thoughts on, like, what do you think about more and more OTT platforms coming today, in today's era, basically? Starting with you, Mukul.
I think it's
starting with you, Harshita.
I'm very happy because why not? I mean, there's a lot of work for a lot of people here, and
Karan is there.
So yeah, there's a lot of work for a lot of people, a lot of actors, a lot of everyone's related to the cinema. So great. I mean, I'm happy that there are more platforms coming up.
I was thinking about when you came into the industry, you were like, OTT has given you your hug, Sada hug, right?
No, Sada Haq was TV. TV has given me Sada Haq, Channel V, so yeah. So Sada, but Mirzapur?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's OTT.
Mukul, what are your thoughts on that?
The same. I mean, it's wonderful if there's more and more platforms and more and more. I mean, whatever leads to more content being made, I'm obviously in favor of it, right? I mean, it's wonderful both as a performer and as a consumer. Why would we not want it?
And what Karan has to say about more and more OTT platforms that are coming with respect to like content, like creators, if I talk about.
I agree with what Mukul just said. I mean, there's obviously there will be some sort of saturation point where there's too many OTT platforms and not enough, shows and series to go around. But of course, it's better for the industry where everyone has work, and I guess it's a marketplace situation, right? This supply, demand, at some point, everything will just work out and ease out. I don't know if you're there yet. I don't know.
All right. So starting with you, Harshita now. As we see that OTT platforms are giving a chance to the newcomers, they're giving a new platform to the new actors of this era to showcase their talent. Do you feel, is it more democratic than the film industry is doing?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
In a way, of course, because I think there's lesser risk involved. Maybe that's why. And they're more open to taking new actors, new faces. So yeah, I guess it's more democratic that way.
But there's more competition, I believe, as we compare it.
There was competition always, and it's going to be always. Now, if we see that there are more opportunities, there's even more competition. But that's going to keep going. So you can't really fight that. You can just be your best. Try to do your best.
So as we're going to talk about like OTT, a paradiso or a disruptor for the cinema industry, my next question goes to you, Mukul. Since you have worked for both films and OTT as well, what satisfies you more, OTT or films?
No, I think while you're shooting, or the roles you have, I don't think it makes any difference in terms of how you perform or what you do. The only difference I would say is that, because the OTT, because of technology disruption, films typically, have a certain screen length, right? It's like 100 minutes, 150 minutes, that's the thing. Because the nature of how we consume OTT, you can have stories of varying lengths. You can have, 5 episodes of 10 minutes each. You can have 8 seasons of a show. And so that leads to very different kinds of stories being told, or the possibilities of different stories being told. And from an actor's perspective, it gives rise to very interesting narrative arcs for many, many characters in a show. So that does make a difference. I think that's been the big change as far as I would be concerned.
But do you think it's going to disrupt the cinema industry in any way?
Well, there's a disruption. Whenever you have any technological boom, there's a disruption of sorts that happens. People are consuming in different ways. The good part is that it's not as, the overall spend or the overall content viewing has gone up overall. So it's not like, it's just cannibalized into, theater entirely. There may be, temporary ups and downs as to what happens in cinema, but I don't, I think cinema will survive and OTT will survive and it'll be wonderful together.
All right, Karan, I want to ask you, like, how do you think the dynamics of cinema industry or the overall industry has changed, especially after the pandemic, if we see that?
So I think the pandemic has just sort of hastened what was going to happen anyway. This is a very personal perspective and viewpoint, guys, so don't kill me for it. But I always thought that OTT is going to completely overtake cinemas, and cinemas are a dying breed, and films of a length from 90 to 150 minutes is, we're done with that. Like, I think every story has been told. Everything is just like, just layering it up, and there's hardly any film I think any of us watch today that is not, you know exactly how it's going to end. They're also predictable. I think that format is like done and dusted, and this is a feeling I had way back, maybe 10 years ago, which is why I have always sort of looked ahead and, was prepping for this day where OTT is going to come to India, which is, which is why I had a big first mover advantage personally also, because I had already written out things for OTT even before OTT was around. And then they luckily got made. See, the idea of going to a theater is becoming quite cumbersome these days compared to the kind of, ease that technology has brought into our lives. And the pandemic just sort of proved that, people try to compare like the big cinema experience with your family and friends. But it's really quite irritating, na, guys, because you go and you have like popcorn, you gotta park your car and you gotta go and pay like 7,000 rupees for a sandwich. And then there's people making noise all the time. How are you supposed to enjoy that? I mean, you can only enjoy, some silly movies which are, you don't have to really focus on or anything. But is that really why we are here? I don't know. So, and you compare that to, the naysayers will say, oh, but your screen is so tiny. But look at the kind of size of TVs you're getting these days. And, everyone's got a bigger screen. Everyone wants to watch stuff on their own time when they feel like. And, we all have our own identities. I don't need to watch anything with my mother because it's just, anything I've made, I haven't watched with my mother, for example. That would just be really random, yeah. So, it's just overrated, this idea we're clinging on to of going to theaters and all. So this was going to happen. It is already happening. I think there's a bit, the film industry is a bit rudderless right now. They don't know really what to make or what's going to click, as you can see with, the box office numbers in the last year or so.
They're decreasing, I believe, yes.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to theaters.
Especially after the pandemic.
So, I don't know. What do you think, man?
With that 50% capacity?
Let's disagree on one thing. So first of all, I don't know. In my whole life, I used to be an analyst, and I don't know whether I'd take a 6-month or an 8-month or a 2-year trend and say that that's predictable for the future in any case. So I would reserve judgment on, say the last 6 months box office numbers and try and draw, broad stroke trends of it. We don't know. Of course, there's been a pandemic. Obviously, people didn't go to the theaters. It'll take a while. Whether they come back, don't come back. I think we'll certainly follow a trend that was followed in the US 5 or 10 years ago, which is that cinemas will draw in people for, like he was talking about the cinematic experience. So it's the superhero films, it's the animation films, it's the ones where you need, that. In family drama stories being told can be watched. There's only one thing I would say about the cinema experience. Otherwise, I agree with Karan on everything. One thing about the cinema experience, which is the communal watching in a darkened hall with complete strangers for 2 hours non-stop. Because when you watch at home, you kind of watch half an hour, then you go away, you come back. There's a disruption in the watching. There is something to be said for that. Whether that's enough to make it survive, I don't know. But there is something nice about that experience.
Yeah, you know what you're talking about, what's an interesting parallel to this is how theater used to be, say, 300 years back, okay? Like performance and stage, or like, during Shakespeare, where there's like plays happening all over the city, and that's a communal experience, and that's got translated into the movies, and that's what's going to happen, I think, going forward. Like, watching films in a theater is going to become a very niche experience. It's going to be like how you have theaters for plays today, I think, is where we're headed with films and, just the big films that you want to go watch with 200 other people and want to shoot yourself at the end of it.
So means we could say that only big budget films should get a theatrical release, I believe, now onwards.
Also good films.
Good films. So what do you, like, if I ask you, like, how would you differentiate a good
I
film
would go
and
to a theater. I've grown up
Ah.
fascinating theater experience and going
Oh,
there so
wow.
much. That's why probably I'm an actor too. But now with OTT, of course, it's a disruption in a way where you would only go to see something either you really like the person who's made it or you like the actor, or in my case, if the word of mouth is great. If it's a
works.
movie worth watching in a cinema, like he said, it's a cinematic experience, then only you will go. Otherwise, there's really a lot of good content on OTT, which people are
Don't
watching.
get me wrong, like we all grew up watching films in theaters because that's what we were really passionate about, and that's why we are here today. And it really was a great influence, at least in my life. Like, this is all I wanted to do was go make a film, and I'm sure you guys just wanted to be in a film. It's just sort of, I'm still making films. I don't think I'm any less of a filmmaker because I'm making long form content, yeah.
And yeah, having said that, I would still, I mean, I love going to theater even today and watching a film. But probably if I would go to see 10 films before the OTT came, I would now probably restrict it to go probably 2 or 3, which I feel, okay, now this I have to go and see in the theaters. So I think that's the...
As actors, if I would ask, what kind of content you love watching on OTT platforms these days?
OTT is something which is engaging because it's very difficult. OTT is not easy. The content has to be engaging throughout. You know, otherwise it's very easy for people to switch.
Absolutely.
In theaters, you still have paid 200 or whatever, 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees for a popcorn or a sandwich, and then you're
because it's such
sitting
a
there
bad
and you're
film
watching
it
the
was.
film, and then you're like, okay, I've paid it. Even if you don't like the film, you still watch it. But OTT, no. 15 minutes, people don't like it, they're gonna switch. So that's even a bigger task to achieve. So I like something which I find engaging in the first 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then I watch it.
Which one was that? Which one was that? Last you
A
see?
lot of Handmaid's Tale. I finished like all the 5 seasons in probably like 3 days or 2 days, I guess.
Acha, okay, very nice.
Handmaid's Tale.
Okay. And Mukul, to you, if I ask the same question, like what kind of content you love watching on OTT, and with the kind of new content coming, you know, every day we could see one new project or one new film or web series. So how do you see that? Do you think it is like halt for the cinema industry, or like what?
I see there's a lot of paralysis. Every time I put on television on, I don't know what to watch. There's so much to watch. There's shows that friends are in, that friends have made. There's a lot of international content you want to watch. But I watch a mix. I watch a very big mix of things because it gives you the opportunity to do that, right? I watch reruns of old shows that I've seen before because I can. You know, if you have 20 minutes, then I might, you know, watch a rerun of a Seinfeld episode because I can watch them again and again. I think that's the gold standard for comedy as far as I'm concerned. You know.
You get time to watch your own projects that releases on OTT?
Yeah, I generally tend to watch my projects. I want to know, you know, I generally tend to watch it because you want to know what's happened, so you tend to watch it. But yeah, it's also challenging to see, you know, so many other people's projects whose work you want to see. And frankly, there's not enough time in the day to get everything done. It's very hard. And also watch, you know, cutting edge stuff that's being done, that people are talking about. I have a watch list on my phone. I keep making notes. Every time people, you know, if 5 or 6 people recommend a show, only then it gets on my watch list. The watch list is growing much, much faster than I can deplete it. So it's a problem. It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem.
Okay, it is a problem. Yes, I will think about it. Well, as a creator, if I ask you what kind of flexibility that you get while making a project on OTT and in a film, what difference would you say is there?
First, I just want to add to that, that analysis paralysis. You should talk to my dad because once he called me and said, I have finished Netflix.
My mom said the same thing.
Finished Netflix.
I mean, yeah, like he's like, I don't know what else to watch because I've watched everything. Anyway, so what's the difference between
Making a project on OTT or for cinema?
I think it's mainly to do with 2 things. One is, I think OTT gives a lot more scope for being more original and telling newer stories to more niche audiences, and you can really like you don't have to second guess what like audiences would want to watch on that one weekend when a film releases. So I feel OTT content is a lot smarter, and it is just sort of gives you a lot more leeway to write freely. Okay, and the second thing is, I think is the difference is the investment of time. Like it just takes, I think, a couple of years or 2.5 years for me to go from writing to it releasing. So, that's a long time for one thing.
All right. As actors, if I ask you, Harshita, like, do you want to work in films also, like, or you are contented?
Of course. Why
But
not?
I was just saying or asking that because OTT has not given you less fame, or do you think it has given you fame any lesser than what film industry has would have given you?
I mean, right now there is no, today as an actor, even if it's a film coming in, see again, a film coming in theaters for me as an actor, it's like, that childhood dream that you have, it's somewhere there. And if you want to see yourself on a 70 it's a great feeling. But ultimately, the project needs to be good. So even if you're doing it on OTT or you're doing it in a film format, it has to be something that one, you are satisfied with, and second, your audience is satisfied with. Because there's no point doing a film that people don't see, and there's no point not doing a film and just saying that, okay, I'm gonna only do OTT. I really want to do a film.
Oh, very nice. That's great. Obviously,
On OTT or otherwise.
So Mukul, I want to ask you, like, if given, 3 बार buzzer बज चुका है, मुझे पता है वो बार buzzer. Yes, it's going to get over. One last question to you. Like, if given an opportunity to work on an OTT only or a film, what would you choose?
I don't think my decision to say yes to a project is dependent on the distribution.
What if it was the last thing you could do? This is the last thing. What are you going to pick?
Do I have 2 choices or 1?
One.
No. Do I have a choice of 2 projects and I have to pick one?
No.
No, you have a
Two
choice of
platforms,
OTT
two
or-
platforms.
Oh, and I can pick one lane and I have to just stick to it.
No, there's no lane. This is the last project of life.
And I've got only one option, I'll do it, whatever it is. I have to have 2 options, no. I'll pick the role. I'll pick the role and I'll pick what's the interesting role. But then, if it's last project and it's 8 seasons possibly, that's a lot more work. I'll certainly take that. I mean, come on. If it's really that, right?
Absolutely. Good answer. Good diplomatic answer, I must say.
No, it's the real answer. I mean, like, look, I don't have there's no way I, as an actor, can decide, based on distribution of this project, I'm going to do a project or not. Because you can do a film, it goes on OTT based on various factors. So I don't even care about those decisions. It's not in my hands.
Each season you'll make way more money.
I'll also have to sign a contract that enslaves me for life. And that's the only other reason to do a film, is that the contracts don't bind you for, in these ridiculous manner.
If I would ask one last question to Karan as well, if, just imagine, this is your last project you're making, would you like to make it for, like, as a theatrical release or for OTT?
I'd definitely make it for OTT and I'd totally cast these 2 guys in it. That's a good last question and answer.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mukul. Thank you, Harshita. Thank you, Karan. It was one wonderful conversation with you. Thank you. I hope you all have enjoyed that. It was not so boring, right? So, yes.